Hello friends, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel, and today's video is probably one of my most requested videos of all time. I asked you guys in my Plan With Me video if you guys wanted to see a stationery haul, and I don't think I've ever seen more comments requesting me to do a video. Everyone was like, stationery haul, do the stationery haul, where's the stationery haul? For a while, those were the only comments that were coming in, so I was like, you know what, I gotta please the people, I gotta put this request to rest, and I'm coming to you guys with the stationery haul. Funny story, I actually have you guys to thank because this whole thing has made me realize the proper way of spelling stationery. I had always thought that it was stationery with an A, and apparently a lot of people felt the same way as me because I would say it was probably 60% of the comments who spelled stationery with an A instead of an E. But I looked it up, I googled it guys, and the proper way to spell stationery, at least in the context of pens and papers and all of that stuff, is with an E. So, the more you know. Now we can all properly spell stationery. Since I've been bullet journaling a lot more, with that comes the need for markers, pens, and stickers and all of that stuff. So I have been going a little crazy, and I will admit that it's definitely unnecessary. The amount of pens and markers that I have is definitely way more than one human being should have. I do think this haul will be helpful for some of you guys because there are so many different types of markers and pens, and hopefully this will give you guys some thoughts on my first impressions and what I think about some of them, and maybe it'll help you make your decision on what to purchase. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So first up, we have the markers that I've had for the longest time, and I did actually use it in my March Plan With Me video, and I did talk about them a bit. And they are the Crayola Supertips markers. Now, I have the 50 pack. As you can see, I have all of the colors. It fits perfectly in my little jar here. I think it's so satisfying, the fact that it fits in this little jar. These are probably one of the things that I would recommend the most for someone who probably has a smaller budget or wants to start decorating their bullet journal a bit more, because this whole pack, I think it was like 10 bucks, maybe 15 bucks for 50 markers, and you get a wide range of colors. And what I love about these is that you're actually able to use it as a super thin marker as well as like using the side of the marker to cover a wide area. And then in terms of the ink, these markers do not bleed through the page at all, at least in the Leuchtturm journal. I'm not sure what it's like for other types of papers, but I find that I can go over certain areas multiple times and it won't bleed through. Obviously, if you're sitting there just going over the same area multiple times, eventually it will bleed through. But for the most part, for general decorating and stuff, I really do like these, especially because of the affordable price. So highly recommend. The only thing is that some of these colors can be a little bright and saturated and dark, and for me, I do like a more minimal, simple kind of journal, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen from my previous videos. So I don't think I will be using a lot of these colors, especially the more bright and crazy colors, but for the most part, like these pastel pinks are some of my favorites. I do also like the grays and the little light blues stuff happening. So if you're just looking for a wide variety of colors, cheap price, and if you're like a beginner bullet journalist, definitely recommend these. You can't go wrong. We are gonna stay on this marker train and keep talking about some markers. These ones are the Tombow dual tip markers, and these have been sort of a hot topic in the bullet journal community, especially on Instagram and for calligraphy and that sort of stuff, and that is because they do have the dual tips. So on one end, it has this larger brush tip, and then on the other end it has a fine little marker tip. So it's really good for calligraphy if you're into that type of stuff because it does give you that line width variety. Unlike the Crayola Super Tips, which comes in a pack of 50, these come separately. You can pick your colors. I mean, they do have pre-made packs, but they're more like basic colors. I just decided to pick and choose which ones I wanted because I thought it'd be cheaper that way, especially since I would be able to choose the colors that I actually would use. I will leave the price on the screen. I can't remember how much they were. I did get them at an art supply store. I think they were about like $3 each. Do not quote me on that. But anyways, the colors that I got were mostly pastel colors. I did get this light blue cauliflower. cornflower blue color. This one's 533. I got this purple. This one's 603. This one's really pretty. I didn't have anything like this, so I picked that up. I got this rose pink color. This is 772. This sort of sage faded green color. This is 192. I got this sort of golden ochre color. I am so excited for this one. This is probably my favorite one that I got because it looks like it could be gold on paper, but there's nothing metallic about it. It's just kind of like a nice mustard color, and this one is 026. I got a brown shade. This one's 977. I got the gray. This is N65. And then I got this one, which is the colorless blender marker. So this does not have any particular color, but what you use it for is to blend certain colors if you want it to turn into an ombre. So that's going to be really interesting. I will play around with this, see how it goes. But so far, I do really like these. They don't bleed through the page at all. And another thing that I like is that they're a bit more faded and pastel-y than the Crayola Supertips. So it does match the vibe of my bullet journal a bit more, but obviously they are more expensive, so I guess it just depends what you're looking for. I do find that these are useful, especially for the calligraphy, so that's mainly the use that I'm going to be using these for. So if you follow any sort of bullet journal or studygram accounts on Instagram, you've probably seen these babies. These are the Zebra Mildliners. These have kind of blown up even more so than the Tombow ones. Everyone has been talking about these, or you see them in pictures, and I was like, I feel like I'm not an official bullet journaler until I get my hands on these. So I made a nice big Amazon order and I got all 3 packs. I do know that there's another pack, but that one seems to be harder to find, so I do have like the 3 main ones. This one is the sort of classic neon colors. I thought I would be using this the most because the caps look like they're pastel and stuff, but these are the most highlightery of the packs, if that makes sense. They're very fluorescent and they do very much remind me of highlighters, even though they still have that mild look to them. They are fluorescent. These ones have been, surprisingly, the ones that I've been using the most. This pack is really pretty. These ones kind of have like cool, bold, earthy tones, and then this one has some nice faded blues and greens and pinks. But in terms of the formula, I actually was a little disappointed in these, especially because of how much hype there was around them. But I just don't think they're worth it, since it's so hard to find and you have to place an order on Amazon and wait a long time for these to come. By the way, these came like 3 or 4 weeks after I ordered them, which is a long time. So I just don't think they're worth that sort of hassle. Yeah, I mean, if you're like into it, I mean, I definitely do think that these are way prettier than these guys. I mean, in like pictures, these would be really pretty. So if you're into it, go for it, but I don't think you're missing out on the train if you don't have these. The next couple of items are a little bit more boring. They're just plain black pens, but you guys always ask me what black pens I use, and I thought this would be the perfect moment to tell you guys, even though I do leave it in the description box of my Plan With Me videos all the time, but it seems like you guys just don't read the description box or something, because I still get questions all the time asking me. So the pens that I use the most are these babies. These are the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pens in the India Ink Black. So this is actually a new pack. I do have the 4 that I've been using back there, but I decided to pick up a new pack because I use them every single day. They are just the perfect pens for writing and doodling. They're inky without being too inky. They don't bleed through the pages of the Leuchtturm journal at all, which I really love. And I love that it comes with 4 different thicknesses that you can play with. It comes with small, fine, medium, and brush. And I use all of them for completely different things, but yeah, these are my go-tos. The one thing that I don't like about them, and it's very annoying, is that the tips tend to get worn out really easily. So as I mentioned, this is a new pack, which I got because the tips of my old ones are getting worn, and especially for the smaller one, which I use the most for writing, it's been getting wider and wider as it flattens, if that makes sense. So I do have to replace them, and it's been about like 3 months since I've bought those ones. That can get a little pricey, especially if you're constantly replacing them, but I haven't been able to find fine liners that I like quite as much as these ones. If you guys have any suggestions for ones that I can try out that maybe last a little bit longer than these, but so far I've been very happy with these, so I'm fine with repurchasing them. So I made a little trip to MUJI, which is basically my equivalent of heaven, because I walk in there and I'm just like so in love with everything. It's just imagine me as like a heart eyes emoji. That's what I'm like when I walk into MUJI. I did pick up a couple of pens. These two, I've actually been using these pens for years. I do actually have quite a few of the colors. These ones are not from the most recent trip. I just had these from before, but on the most recent trip, I just decided to restock on the black ones because I ran out, and I love these ones. They're really great for writing. They're so smooth. So I got the 0.5 and the 0.38. Now, if you're wondering about my thoughts about using these in the Leuchtturm journal, I really do like it for writing, but the one thing that I do not like it for is filling in large areas, or if you're writing a lot and let's say you flip the page and you write on the other side of the page, it doesn't dry as fast, so if you're writing, it might transfer some of that ink onto the other side of the page. Basically, they're just a lot more gel-like and liquidy than these ones, so you do have to be a little bit careful, but in general, there's no issue with these. And then in that same MUJI trip, I spotted this little guy, which I thought was interesting. It's a hexagon, and they call it like the hexagonal? Hexagonal? I'm gonna go with hexagonal because that sounds really legit, but they call it the hexagonal black pen, I believe, and it's a dual tip pen as well. So one side has a thicker tip, and then the other side has like a very fine tip pen. And I was like, you know what, I'll just try it out because maybe this will be a lot better than these fine liners. They are felt tip, by the way. But I just did not like this at all. Immediately, as soon as I tried it out in my bullet journal, I was like, nope, 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 not using this. First of all, this thing bleeds through the page like no other. I've never seen a pen bleed through a page so easily, and it's so weird because it's not like it's an especially inky pen. It's just kind of like a regular felt tip marker, but it just bled through my pages so easily. And the other thing that I did not like about this pen is that it actually feathered quite a bit, which is really interesting. Not many of these other pens and markers have done that before, but you can actually see it happen before your eyes. If you draw a line, it doesn't stay as a straight line. You can kind of see it bleed through, kind of like veins in a river or whatever. And yeah, so this one is a no-go. Okay, lastly, I do have a couple of anomalies. These are kind of one-offs. They didn't come in a pack. I just bought them in single form. I got these from Curry's, which is an art store in Toronto. I did get these two pens. These are actually brush pens because I've been kind of dabbling more into calligraphy. So this one is the Tombow, oh my god, I'm gonna butcher this pen name. Okay, I just looked it up, and it is the Tombow Fudenosuke pen. I took Japanese in high school. I should be able to pronounce this better, but do not come for me, guys. I tried. I'm so sorry to any Japanese people out there, but it is basically just like a brush tip pen. It's kind of like more of a finer brush, so you are able to get like that line width variety. A little disappointed in this. This one is more popular amongst calligraphers and that sort of thing, but if you try to use it in your bullet journal, it will bleed right through, so I do not recommend it for that. And then I got this Pentel Sign Pen. I actually got this thinking that it was the Pentel Food Touch Sign Pen, which is the brush tip one. I wanted to see like what the difference between these two were, but it ended up just being a regular felt tip pen, which I mean, I don't mind, but I will actually order the Pentel version of the brush pen on Amazon because I'm very interested to see if the Pentel one will bleed through. Okay, I know I said that those were the last couple of items, but I lied because I did remember that I got a couple of non-writing utensil items, and I got a bunch of papers and tapes and stuff. So this roll here, this is actually from Dollarama, which is the dollar store in Toronto. I'm not sure if it's Canadian, but it actually came in this roll of different types of papers. There's this really pretty like peachy pink floral one that I actually, as you can see, I cut it out, so I've actually used it a little. There's this sort of like Aztec print color, and then there's this really pretty small floral pattern. So yeah, I just saw this in the dollar store. I was like, you know what, it's $1, don't mind me, let me just pick it up. And you do get quite a bit of paper, which is really impressive. So I mean, it's nice to have stuff like this on hand. And then I did end up actually going to Michael's and getting some of their scrapbooking paper. This first one is a larger floral print, and it has some gold metallic accents. I also got these. They're cut up because I've actually used it for something, but these are kind of like the leftovers. It's this gorgeous white and gold metallic print of roses, and I just think these would be so pretty in your bullet journal just as accents, or maybe even if you like stuck it on your cover if you wanted a cool cover for your bullet journal. And then I got this this kind of, I think it's called the vellum, but it has sort of like a translucent background, and again it has those gold accents, and this time it's in like a hexagon beehive print. So those papers I use a lot just for like little accents or borders in my bullet journal. And then I did actually, when I made my Amazon order, I did actually get a washi tape, but it hasn't come in yet, and it's been like four, almost 5 weeks, so I'm a little upset about it. But it was this really cute black washi tape with stars and moons on it. I will insert a picture there. And there's nothing that exciting about it, but I did want to include it in this haul and show you guys how cute it was. But unfortunately, life just did not work out for me. Anyways, that's it for my stationery haul. Stationery with an E, don't forget it. But I hope you guys enjoyed or found this helpful. If you did, definitely let me know, and maybe I can do more of these and buy more stationery products and let you guys know my thoughts on those. I'm basically just giving myself an excuse to go out and buy more markers and pens, but if you guys love it, then I'll do it. Don't forget to click that little bell button down below so you can be notified whenever I post a new video. I mean, my official video schedule is Mondays and Fridays, and I do try to stick to that, but we all know that that doesn't happen very often. So if you click that bell, you can just be notified whenever I post. Problem solved. But I hope you guys have an awesome day. I love you so much, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye guys.